here's an odd thing. Unique Toys and DX9 are the same company, but how is it that Unique Toys manages to pull out a far better quality product in terms of legend scale than DX9? Wouldn't they share the same designers, or would they not? I'm not too sure about this. It's a very peculiar release because Unique Toys has gone for a strictly Headmasters affair, but they're running out of Headmaster characters to go into. I mean, as of right now, we've gone over the entire Autobots lineup. I guess they can do some Decepticons, maybe a Nightbeat and a Minerva. Oh shit. Legends Minerva, that would be awesome! Unique Toys, please! Regardless, it was somewhat of an impulse purchase from RoboToys, and I didn't really know what to expect. But when I received these two guys, oh boy was I pleasantly surprised. Hardhead and Skullcruncher, or Schunk and Betta. I don't know who Schunk is and Betta is supposed to be. I'm assuming that's Schunk and that's Betta, but they never really clarified. They are a fascinating bunch because out of nowhere, Unique Toys goes, oh, we're doing Headmaster Legends now. And it's like, what? Okay. Somehow, in spite of being the same company as DX9, they managed to pull off far more engaging transformations and far more dynamic designs. As you can see right here, these look rather decent for their size, especially Hardhead. Hardhead looks awesome. Now, his transformation is the highlight of the figure, but the almost not bad as well. The interesting use of arm mass here makes him look incredibly good. But I have to give props to Skullcruncher for doing some incredibly weird torso transforming to get into this. I would say that Hardhead is slightly better than his Hasbro counterpart. Not so much on Skullcruncher. I don't actually own Skullcruncher, I own Croc, but I still think the mold is slightly better. But overall, these are pretty tight Legends figures, even in their vehicle modes. But of course, the thing that sets these apart from most Legends is that they are Headmasters, and oh look, we have the tiniest little Headmasters possible. These are just... how do they manage to pull this off at such a small scale? They've even got some nice paints on them as well. Of course, it looks like Skullcruncher right here has a bit of a hot pink thing, but whatever. They transform pretty simply, just like the G1 and the Titan Master toys, by folding down there. Skullcruncher goes for a much more cartoon/anime accurate aesthetic, whereas I'm very glad that Hardhead went for the toy accurate aesthetic. I know a lot of people don't like the mixing of the aesthetics, they like a nice consistent thing across the line, but that's not really Legends Collectors. Legends Collectors just want fun toys, and I think this works quite well. Of course, this is actually how you put them in their vehicle modes. As I mentioned in one of the previous reviews, you open it up, and then you kind of fit them like so. I think it's a really brilliant use of space. They just kind of sit in there, and then you just close that. Skullcruncher 2, you just open up this bit here, and then you just sit them in like that. It's a very great use of space. I really like how simple and effective these guys are. I feel that the Horrorcons kinda went a bit too complicated in what they were doing, so it's nice to see these guys do this. But I especially like Hardhead for some reason. Of course, these guys do come with extra weapons. You can remove this part here, but Hardhead also comes with 2 of these. And it looks okay, I guess. Skullcruncher also comes with a tiny little white gun that fits on the side of the tail there, but I lost it. Sorry about that. At the very least, this part here are actually 2 separate swords, so it's nice weapon integration. Transformation is quite simple, you just gotta make sure the weapons are all off. Starting off with Skullcruncher, because I think Hardhead's better, and if I go into him, you know, it's better to do the better one last. You get the Headmaster out, and you leave that down there. First thing you want to do is separate the beast legs, and in doing so, this whole part folds in like that. You can push that in, somehow separate it. There we go. Then these 2 can go to the side. From here, these just kind of fold down. These parts turn into the feet, like so. Interesting use of beast leg mass. It's not the best, but you know, you get the ankle tilt, which is kind of cool. From here, this part undoes. And then you can fold this entire section down. That folds like so. You untab the arms from there. You make sure these are facing upwards. Then you can rotate this around and up like that. And then this entire section folds in on itself. But before you do that, this part actually goes fully in. And then this kind of folds over the top. This goes around to the bottom. I know it's a bit of gymnastics. Then when that all goes like that, you get that at the front there, you turn it around, this section just kind of stays down, arms go down, like so, with the beast claws on the outside, unfortunately, but whatever. You finally get the headless Transtector, and you plug in Skullcruncher, and you're good to go. Finally, it's a bit of a complicated one. It's not the best transformation, and it doesn't lock in the best either, but yeah, it's alright. Of course, you just gotta get the headmaster out. From here, you start off with the legs. Unpeg these from the sides. Fold this down a little bit. Bring out the feet. Come around here. You untab these. So basically, this part folds in on itself and into there. In on itself and into there. Brilliant use of tread mass. That is brilliant. The arm's a little simpler. Just unpeg them from here, and poor Skullcruncher's fallen over. Bring these down, and then this entire section just folds down on itself. Like so. You do need to make sure the guns are off, otherwise none of this is going to work. And you plug that in, and then you can give him his weapons. Same with Skullcruncher. You give him his weapons. They are both pretty good, but really, Hardhead is the star of the story. Come on, just stand. That's another thing that Skullcruncher has an issue with. He has an issue with standing because of these beast legs. They're not the best. But Skullcruncher is pretty good on his own. I mean, you can get the balance of the swords there. That does help a little bit. But I mean, Hardhead is just better. Better. Schunk and Betta. How funny. Of course, you can see these are average legends sized, and there's nothing too crazy about them. But the main attraction, of course, is the articulation. Unfortunately, Hardhead is a bit lacking in that department. You got ball joints, ball joints, ball joints. What? No thigh swivel? What madness is this? And again, they could have put one in there easily, but they just chose not to for some reason. It's not as bad on such a dynamic design, and on Tailgate it was more, it's not that great a figure to begin with, why aren't they doing that? But, you know, it's alright. 90-degree knee, you get movement at the heel, and an ankle tilt as well. Lovely, lovely ankle tilts. Oh, I forgot, there's also a waist swivel as well. Hooray, this guy's pretty dynamic. I mean, there, see, terrible to stand. This guy's pretty dynamic. You get some decent poses, and he looks great just standing there. The only problem is that due to the fact that it's a square peg, the head doesn't rotate. That is one thing I would improve on this design. This guy's pretty similar. Ball joints. You get hinges here as well, thanks to transformation. Ball joints, waist swivel, ball joints, and ball joints here. See, ball joints would have been better on that, but given the transformation, it's not possible. You also get ankle tilts, but getting him to stand up again is a bit of an issue. Yeah, they're both pretty good, but, you know, Skullcruncher is pretty good on his own, but Hardhead is fantastic for the size. He's just a fun little figure. He's almost top tier, enough to get him a perfect score, but not perfect. I mean, these thigh swivels. He could have used thigh swivels. It's so disappointing. Now, hindsight is a pretty disappointing thing, because Skullcruncher on his own is pretty good, but Hardhead is fantastic because he's simple and fun. Unfortunately, some of their later releases, particularly the Horicons, were a bit too complicated for the size. They do a lot of weird things, and it's a bit confusing. But at the very least, we have this guy to have a lot of fun with. Even if they decided to overcomplicate themselves into oblivion, and even if they get worse in the future, at the very least, we have a fun Hardhead that is better than the deluxe version from Hasbro. Not just because it's a Legends figure, and because of my own bias, but because it's actually very good. You want a Legends Hardhead? I don't see anyone else making one, and he's a pretty fantastic figure, so get him. He just needs some thigh swivels and it's done, but for some reason I don't find that as much of an issue on this figure, at least as much as I did on Power of the Prime's Tailgate. It's all about perspective. Perspective can be a strange thing though, because what's my perspective on a knockoff company coming up with an original design that's way too big for the size class, because they're trying to do their own thing and drive everyone else out of the market? Very peculiar.